Today I'm making a vintage-inspired journal cover. Last week I designed lined pages for this journal, and now it's time to design their shell. I'm working with book corners and a pendant for the centerpiece, and drawing up some sketches of what I want the cover to look like. I haven't come up for a name for this series, and I welcome suggestions for playlist names. This month, my book project is to create a simple lined journal for a friend, and I'll be walking you through each step of the process. I know some of you watch for junk journal inspiration, but it's my hope that by sharing the techniques used in creating this simple journal, you can translate them into your own junk journal projects. I'm using thick artboard for the layers on my cover. The metal flourishes will be recessed onto the cover, so I'm taping them onto the artboard so I can trace their design. Since I'm going to be cutting these out by hand with an X-Acto knife, I'm carefully tracing a general outline of the book corners. It's easier to cut a straight line opposed to a curved one, and once the fabric is covering the artboard, the small details will be lost anyway. After I found the center, I drew the outline of my centerpiece. If you're not used to fussy cutting with an X-Acto knife, then join the club. This was my first time cutting little details like this with an X-Acto knife, and what I learned was that cutting short, straight lines with medium pressure worked best. My hand grew tired and my lines were sloppy when I tried to cut through this really thick artboard in one pass or two passes. Slow and steady wins the race in this case. Making the resin pendant was super simple. I just followed the instructions of the two-part epoxy resin and poured it over my dried flowers. Since this frame is really shallow, I had to be mindful to not pour too quickly or it would have spilled over. It took a full day for the resin to cure. Side note, although Fabri-Tac glue is ridiculously expensive for craft glue, I find that it works best with metals. While my pendant was curing, I moved on to glue my artboard pieces using matte Mod Podge glue. Use a bone folder to smooth out the nooks and crannies and start in the center to work out wrinkles. Before gluing the back cover, I'm going to measure the spine of my text block. A trick to this is to fold a piece of scrap paper, slide it under your stack, and gently fold over the edge. This is a lot easier than trying to measure your text block with a ruler. I'm using a corner miter to measure out how much to cut at the corners, and leaving about an inch of fabric on the sides to fold over. I'll leave a link in the description for most of these materials and tools for you to check out. The next step in this process is to bind the journal. And I'm going back and forth if I want to have exposed thread or case bound the text block. I'll be sharing that process with you in the next video, and I hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you for watching.